All right, guys, the Utah Jazz get a nice win against a depleted Los Angeles Clippers team, a team that kind of triggers me as a Jazz fan. It's the Hoops Nerd postgame show. All right, guys, that was a nice win for the Jazz. Just a dominant win, start to finish. And I don't think it's a win that a lot of people expected with how many players were out for the Jazz. Let's just dive into this. Utah comes into this as a team missing their best player, Donovan Mitchell, and they did not have Bojan Bogdanovic. They did not have Hassan Whiteside. They did have Rudy Gobert, who is a superstar, whatever you want to call him, in his own right, but they were missing a bunch of key pieces, and so there was a part of me that was worried. I did not know what to expect, and I did not have to worry at all. Usually we talk about the other team, but this Clippers team lost by how many points? At one point they were down by like 40 something. When you lose by like 30 points, 40 points, and no one really played, you don't get to talk a lot. I will say that Rodney Hood used to play on the Jazz, and my daughter was in an elementary school class with Rodney. And when Rodney got traded to the Blazers, Ricky brought all the kids there little basketballs as a goodbye gift, and Rodney is a class act and a good dude. So I'm rooting for Rodney Hood. Other than that, a pox on the Clippers. It is nice to see Marcus Morris back after getting his back shook by Nickeil Jokic. So, shout out to him for being back. Christian House, money to house with the jump in. What a game. I am so happy that Butler got minutes and showed those Dawn moves. Yes, that was nice. Let's talk about it. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I am like utterly exhausted. So this might not be as long tonight, but let's talk about it because there was a lot of fun things to talk about. Kevon Bar 18, $4.99. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was fun. Can't wait for us to get healthy and Quinn get back to his regular rotation and forgets about this hustle. Nice job, Kevon Bar. Way to go. The Quinn diss. I like it. But I think that's what you're doing. And forgets about this hustle. Yeah, that's right. I think it was. Yeah, so, I mean, I guess let's get into it. Although I do want to shout out to Andrew Streeter for $1.99. Thank you, sir. Denver and Dallas lost. Jazz won big. Great night. Yes, overall, in terms of just for the Jazz, fantastic because, you know, you came into this game, like we mentioned before, I did not know what to expect. With Donovan Mitchell out, Bojan Bogdanovic, although I kind of am starting to really feel like everything I said before, you know, and I got all the hate from the Bojan stands. That's what happens on this channel, by the way, is the comments go crazy town with the stands, you know, like the Bojan stands, the JC stands. If I say anything, they go crazy. They lose their mind. And guess what? I block them after a while. If you do poop emojis or say not nice things, I just block you. I don't care. So anyways, they didn't have those guys, but like I said, I'm starting to wonder if Bojan really matters all that much to this team because honestly, the defense matters, and there's certain guys on this team that can really shoot the ball, and I just don't know. I mean, has anyone at one point during this game where it was anyone like, wow, I wish Bojan was on the floor? I don't know. There's a lot of things we're learning about this Jazz team right now. But anyways, like Mike Von Bar said, well, like Andrew said, they got a game up on Dallas. We did not know coming to this game what would happen and if they could hold that 4 seed that they have. And they definitely held on to that 4 seed. Von Bar, let's see, back to his regular rotation. Let's just go into it, talking about what Von Bar's saying. I guess, like, just speaking of regular rotation, I thought Mike Conley actually played well in this one. He's actually played really well the last 3-4 games, which is nice to see. But what's crazy is look at this. Look at this. 2 for 12 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. If you did not know, like, if you, like, just saw, like, the score, you would have probably not guessed that Mike Conley went 2 for 12 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. I can't understand it, guys. I don't understand. And I think one part of what this is related to is that Mike Conley was on the floor with Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert was absolutely monstrous. It was Gobzilla tonight. Rudy Gobert absolutely just thrashed the Clippers. He picked him up like a rag doll and threw him around, and You remember when like the Hulk took Loki and just smashed him on the ground in Avengers like this? That's what Rudy did to Terrence Mann in the Los Angeles Clippers. Christian House, money to house, $5, my dude. Thank you, sir. This goes out to the Jazz bench. Thank you, Christian. You're amazing. Thank you, House Money. But anyways, Rudy Gobert was dominant, and typically, like we talked about, Mike Conley shares the floor with Rudy Gobert at, almost all minutes. Like tonight, 23 minutes for Mike Conley mirrors Rudy Gobert's 26. Plus, Mike Conley was just 8 points plus 27, Rudy Gobert 28. So you can kind of see how they almost match exactly. Plus 27 for Conley, plus 28 for Rudy Gobert. Plus 34 for Royce ONeil, who is shooting the ball tonight 1 for 4, but he has been lights out from 3 lately. It's unbelievable. Let's see. Depth on display tonight from Jonathan James photo. Great Instagram photo guy. Thank you for being a member. Depth on display tonight. Yes. Kavambar jumps in again, member for 6 months. If someone having a bad game, put someone else in. Exactly. And that's what we learned tonight, is that the Jazz have incredible depth that, to be honest, has been underutilized. And in Quinn Snyder's defense, there are a lot of good players on this Jazz team. There is almost a plethora, a surplus of depth on this team. But you know what? If you have a surplus of depth, you've got to figure out ways to rest these guys. Like, for example, Mike Conley. A lot of people have talked about how Mike Conley kind of carried the Jazz in January, carried the Jazz when they won like 3 or 4 games the entire month. He probably should have rested some of those nights. And guys like Jared Butler should have gotten more run. We've had like 3 games this season, like including tonight, where Jared Butler has gotten an extended run. Each time he's looked nice. When he knows that he's going to get the play time, he's looked nice. I think we should have seen, if we could look back at this season so far, and this is something we've wanted all season anyway, so I don't really think it's like hindsight 2020, but Jared Butler should have gotten more minutes this year. Just 100%. Why? 1, he's a good player. Look at this. 8 for 13 from the field, 5 for 10 from 3, 7 assists. Absolutely monster night. 21-7 from Jared Butler. Who knew? The Hoops Nerd channel did, and all the Hoops Nerds watching knew, because we've been talking about it, and we watch it like a hawk. But anyways, he gets extended run without any fear of being pulled, and he goes 21-7 with 3 rebounds. That's all he did. 5 for 10 from 3. Fantastic stuff. And so I just think, looking back, and something we talked about, he should have just played more. And Trent Forest has gotten all the minutes, and, Trent Forest has had some really nice moments this year, like 3 or 4, 5 or 6 games where he's been just a big X factor for the Jazz. He's also had 6 to 12 games where he's been absolutely invisible and been, he's made them like play 4-on-5 on defense because they don't have to guard him on the offensive end, especially when Quinn plops him in the corner. When Forrest has the ball, he can do some nice things, but we're not talking about Forrest tonight. He didn't play. What we are talking about is Jared Butler, who deserves much more play time. And honestly, we're getting a window into next year. The other guy to get I lost my mind last video about it because Nickeil Alexander-Walker proving the haters wrong again tonight. Like every one of those people that were mocking that trade, like saying, who did they get? Nothing for Joe Ingles. No, they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's 6'6" with length and athleticism. And he has a really nice game tonight. And interestingly enough, he goes a -5. But he gets the start. He plays 32 minutes. He's 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. He had 5 assists, 4 rebounds. And he looks like he's a guy that can kind of develop into a rotation player. So the Jazz, Danny Ainge turns Joe Ingles, who was washed anyway. He was washed last year. And Joe Ingles with a torn ACL turns him into Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And all of a sudden, we're seeing the benefits. This Jazz team absolutely won this game with defense, honestly. I mean, it's amazing what happens when you have length and athleticism. Juancho has looked so athletic and so long to me, and they've been playing him at the 4, and he's blocking shots. He moves well on the floor. He runs in transition. He gets back on defense. He's been showing that he's a nice weak side rim protector. He's a +7 because of defense. You have Royce ONeil, and we know what he can do defensively, and he's playing the small forward position. Obviously, Rudy Gobert, the best defensive player in the league. But then you combine that with like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jared Butler, who is a positive defender. Eric Paschall got extended run tonight. By the way, maybe the most bizarre thing about this season is Jared Butler not getting more minutes. It is so weird. Rudy Gay had a really nice night tonight. He was a +28, and his defense was really good. But a nice night for Rudy Gay at this point is 9 points and 9 rebounds. I mean, that's like a fantastic night from Rudy Gay at this point. It's just not been very good. He'll have moments in the playoffs, I hope, and I actually feel like we probably are a little hard on Rudy Gay because I do think he provides nice defense in half-court situations. But offensively, it's been rough. Tonight it was pretty good, but you're playing a depleted Clippers team. But why isn't Paschall getting more minutes? Especially with the depth we have. And like, was it Von said, if someone's having a bad game, put someone else in? Put in Eric Paschall if Butler's struggling. Why not? Kyle Norton, 199. I wanted to get to it. Honest thoughts on a playoff run this year. Thank you, Kyle. Let's talk about it. But anyways, those are my thoughts basically on the depth. We really saw from Paschall, Butler, Nickeil Alexander-Walker. These are really good. Like, I'll just end with this thought on the depth. Jared Butler looks fantastic, by the way. Like, it's getting a little bit like malpractice to not have him on the floor, especially when it was the choice between him and Jared Butler, or between him and Trent Forest. To have Trent Forest and Jared Butler and see what Jared Butler's doing right now and to play Trent Forest over him is, I mean, what are you doing? When you see what Jared Butler's doing tonight, I mean, it's just unbelievable. And the game's just slowing down more and more for him. We haven't been surprised. I mean, honestly, the last 3, 4, 5, 10 performances from Butler, we've seen him really handle the ball and play point at a nice level. So we shouldn't be surprised by the 7 assists. But when you start having the shot come along like this, you've got, at worst, an incredible 6th-man option. Like Jared Butler, I could see Jared Butler kind of turning into, who's the guy on the Mavericks? Sorry, my brain gets slow at like midnight. Or it's 10:17. I don't even know what time it is. But like, what's his name? Jalen Brunson. Kind of what Jalen Brunson is for the Mavericks, this kind of 6th-man point guard scoring threat. That's what I could see Jared Butler being, because he is a positive defender when he's playing hard. And you can see how he can handle the ball and just run the show with the second unit. He has a chance to be really, really good. The worst part is that we got him with a 2nd-round pick, and that means that, you have 2 less years guaranteed. So next year will be the last year of his rookie contract because he's a 2nd-round pick. That's the benefit of getting someone in the first round. You get 3-4 years guaranteed, typically 4, 3 or 4. And then the second contract is the 4 years. That's why everyone talks about how you get 7 years minimum with like Donovan or whatever. But when you're a 2nd-round pick, it's non-guaranteed, and I don't believe you can do beyond 2 years for the first-year contract. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. So that's what sucks. Like, watch Jared Butler become really great. It's like losing out on like 2 seasons of guaranteed, of restricted free agency. So that sucks. But anyways, what's good is that Jared Butler is really good, and it's nice to see him coming around. All right, let's get back to Kyle Norton's question, the 199 question of the night. 2 McChickens. Honest thoughts on a playoff run this year. I think that this Jazz team is going to win the first round. A win like tonight is really nice because you are probably going to play the Dallas Mavericks. Let's just look at it right now just for fun. So in the Western Conference right now, you've got the 4-5 matchup, Jazz, Dallas. And like someone mentioned in the chat, Dallas lost tonight, as well as the Nuggets, so that actually helps out the Jazz a lot. The Jazz could use some help because their schedule to end the year is just rough. It is really not easy and really tough. And so anytime the Mavericks and Nuggets lose and the Jazz win and gain a game, that's great. Right now, the Jazz are only 1 game up on Dallas, and so that was a nice break for the Jazz. And I don't know if this is updated. I think, is that updated? I don't know. I can't remember. But either way, it's either 2 games or 1 because they won and Dallas lost. And so that's big time for them. I like the Jazz matchup against the Mavericks. I actually think the advantage there goes to the Jazz. Um, I don't like the Jazz matchup with the Nuggets. I know the Jazz have beaten the Nuggets multiple times this year. I've watched the Nuggets destroy the Jazz too many times. Did you like that random hiccup? I've seen the Nuggets I'm triggered by the Nuggets. I watched them come back from 3-1 to dominate the Jazz. I don't like Rudy against Jokic anymore because I feel like Jokic has kind of found a level of comfort playing Rudy. Like one thing I noticed when the Jazz play the Nuggets is Jokic has kind of figured out how he needs to play against Gobert. He becomes much more of a three-point shooter. And he shoots that three against Rudy with comfort because he knows he can get it off. Rudy's contests against Jokic are just not good enough. And that's why you'll see Jokic take like 12, 14 threes against Rudy because he knows that's the shot he's going to take. And since Jokic is knocking it down at a high percentage, it is a rough matchup for Utah. It's just rough, you know. I'd rather see the Jazz go against the Mavericks. And then beyond that, I mean, if the Jazz win that and they go into the second round, who does that mean? They play the 1 seed, so that means the Suns. I do not like that matchup. You know, I really don't. Because let's see, if it's 1-8, I think it's the 1-8 plays the 4-5, and then the 2-3 plays the 5 or 6, and so that probably means the Jazz face the Suns in the second round. And I just think my prediction for the Jazz is it's a second round exit. And you know, and that's a disappointment. I think everyone, including the Jazz, are expecting the Jazz this season to go more than just another second round exit. Like they need to win more than one series. And I just, you know, and maybe I'm being negative, maybe I'm overly critical or cynical or whatever. I just haven't seen a lot from this team this year that makes me think they can beat the Suns. They haven't like dominated the Suns, a fully healthy Suns team in like 3 years. So I just don't see it. But I would like to see the Jazz beat if that's true, Vombar, perfect would be Mavs at 3 and Jazz at 6. Yeah, or Jazz 3 and Mavs 6 or whatever. And then maybe you can get maybe the Jazz can get lucky and they can grab like the Warriors or the Grizzlies in the second round. And then maybe you sneak into that Western Conference Finals. How cool would that be? And so I guess that's a possibility. If it falls like that, like Vombar's saying, if the Jazz get like the 3 seed somehow, even though they're 3 games back of the Warriors, but the Warriors just lost Steph, so it's not like that's not out of the question, honestly. If the Jazz can slip into the 3, and then I guess if you're playing the Nuggets at 6, I mean, I guess you'll take that because would you rather have a tough matchup against the Nuggets in the first round that gives you a much more likely route to the Western Conference Finals? I'd actually take that, you know? But what I think is going to happen is I think this 4-5 matchup is more or less what's going to happen. And then the Jazz are likely going to go to the second round and play the Suns. And the Suns just counter what the Jazz do. Now, maybe they'll start playing guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker and guard with more perimeters on the defensive end. Maybe you start playing Danuel House, who I think is becoming one of the most important players on this team. Thank goodness, by the way, Danuel House is healthy. And so you have some weapons. The question is Quinn able to adjust in the playoffs? Is Quinn able to outcoach the Suns? I don't know. We haven't really seen Quinn outcoach anyone in the second round. So it would be a first time. And if the Jazz lose in the second round this year, you're going to see some serious changes in the offseason. But that's my prediction. My hope is, like you guys said, my hope is that the Jazz get a favorable draw and 2 teams that are at least evenly match or advantage Jazz, and then they go to the Western Conference Finals. It's happened. But we'll see. I think it's possible. It's possible. Why not? Actually, when you sit there and you look at the matchups and you think about how the Warriors, like the team that doesn't scare me is the Grizzlies. I think the Jazz can beat the Grizzlies easily. Well, not easily, but I think the Jazz win that series. With the Warriors, if they don't have a healthy Steph, obviously I'd rather take the Warriors, you know. The Nuggets do scare me, and maybe that's just me being triggered. I mean, they do have the injuries and stuff, and they don't have Michael Porter, and you know, I think the Jazz probably win. If my dream scenario is like Vombar said, if the Jazz can somehow get to the 3 seed and stay there, it's going to be tough though. The schedule is rough for Utah, but if they can get that 3 seed, maybe draw the Nuggets in the first round, then if you can like play the Grizzlies or the Warriors in the second round, Who knows? Maybe the Jazz go to 3 or 2. I don't know. I don't know. There's any sort of things that can happen. So we got to do some standings watches and see where it goes. But if the Jazz can get the 3 seed, I think they do have a pretty decent chance to get to the Western Conference Finals matchup wise. If the Jazz face the Suns in the second round, it's curtains. That's what I would predict. But if they can avoid the Suns in the second round, then maybe they can make it to the Western Conference Finals. And then at that point, Chris Paul's already hurt. I mean, Chris Paul hasn't really shown an ability, except for like last season, but even last season he got hurt, to really stay healthy consistently through an entire playoffs. So maybe Chris Paul wears out again, or some sort of hamstring or something like that. Obviously, I'm not hoping for that, but it's just something we've seen every single year. It feels like Chris Paul, like that year with the Rockets, when the Rockets should have beat the Warriors, Chris Paul comes up lame with a bad hamstring and they lose. So, who knows? If you can put off the Suns to the Western Conference Finals and maybe you get some injury luck of some sort, and your team can stay healthy, because that's the other thing, is Utah hasn't stayed healthy in the playoffs the last 2-3 years. So they really need some health on their side and maybe some health luck. Because let's be honest, the Suns made it to the finals last year, but part of that was because Anthony Davis got hurt. Sometimes that's just what it takes. Like the Milwaukee Bucks were, and I was happy that they won and they were deserving champions, but they also benefited from Kyrie Irving and James Harden being injured last year. Part of making it to the finals is other teams having bad luck and you having good luck. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Key himself, $2. Play Jared Butler more. Also, looks like a steal now. He does. He looks great. Now, he's got to find some consistency, and I think a winning culture like the Jazz have can really help him and help him grow as just a prospect. But he's got the physical talent, and he's got the physical tools. He's got the talent. And he's got a nice skill level. We've watched him run some nice pick and rolls. He had that free throw line pull up pick and roll jumper that we see Donovan Mitchell do, and we saw Nickeil Alexander-Walker do that tonight. So looks nice. Really nice. And that's okay. Let's end on that, because that's something. And I'm trying to be positive, because someone made a funny comment in my last video that said, if anyone was confused, the Jazz won last game. I try to be positive. It's been a weird season, but it's nice when the Jazz win. I just wanted to say, when you're judging a player that, for example, the takes on Nickeil Alexander-Walker kind of drove me nuts, because everyone was just going to the box score and acting like they were some sort of expert on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I wasn't an expert on him, and I, just like anyone, I went and looked at the box score, but I also remember that his rookie year, there were some moments where people were really excited about him, where it looked like they had really gotten kind of a steal. And then his numbers kind of slowly went down in a downward trend. Now, is that because he hasn't been developing? Is that a work ethic thing? Or was it a bad situation? It's starting to look a little bit like it was a bad situation. And, it makes sense where he's in a team where it has huge dysfunction. You've got all this stuff going on with Zion Williamson, where he's the guy that you're trying to get minutes for and all these things. But it might be that he just needed a fresh situation with a winning culture, with a team that's not in flux every single year. That, the Pelicans, fired their coach last year. They've gone through 3 coaches in his time while he's been on the team, and it's been 2 seasons. So, it makes sense that he might just need a winning culture that allows him to win and gives him a more defined role. It's just like anybody. If you don't have anyone kind of in your corner teaching you how to do things and giving you opportunities to succeed, you're not going to succeed. So let's just hope this is an upward trend for Nah. Finally, for all the Jordan Clarkson stands, he had a really nice night. He was really good. Say nice things in the comments, JC stands, all right? Bunch of weirdos. Let's see, and we already mentioned Rudy Gobert, just completely dominant in every way. So, really nice. All right. Let's give a shout out to our All-Stars. These are the guys. Let's just refresh this, because we're how many minutes in? I don't even know. And I said I was tired, and we end up going, how long? I don't even know. Oh, we're at 24. That's pretty short. All right, let's see. Let's give a shout out. Let's see. To our All-Stars. By the way, the All-Stars, you guys are honestly the guys that make this channel run. You guys are the ones that just, and every member does, by the way. Everyone who supports the channel, you're amazing. I appreciate it like you wouldn't believe. But these All-Stars are the guys that just honestly make this channel what it is. And so I want to give a shout out. So anyways, let's give a shout out to Christian House Money to House, DeHaas, Tyson Price, The Price is Right, Baby Elliott Matson, X marks the spot for Zintas, Jordan the GOAT Best Roll, Joshua Hansen, the Danish Destroyer, and one Anton Warren, Ezekiel Rice Seabay, the man from down under, JT Buckets Wardell, Austin R. Grant, Editor Extraordinaire, Eric C., the C stands for Champion, Donald Schooley, schooling all of us, DW to CB, Darren Williams to Carlos Boozer, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo, Lee Christensen driving the lane, my thing scrolled up, Patrick Kakubo, the Connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, thank you again for supporting the channel. You're amazing. You guys are just freaking awesome. And the fact that you support my channel and are a part of the show, because honestly, everyone who is an all-star, you're like a producer of the show. You really are, because you allow me to run the show. It motivates me to do this every single time and do my best and give you the best I got every single night. On a night like tonight where I honestly didn't have a lot. And it was a little bit, as fun as it was and it was cool as it was to see the secondary guys get run and do well, it was a little boring. So I didn't have all the juice tonight. And you guys are the ones that drive me. And thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye. Slowly losing my mind. But you guys are the ones that make things happen. I appreciate it. You're amazing. If you're new here, like and subscribe to the channel. This is the best Utah Jazz YouTube channel out there. There is nothing close. So like and subscribe and tell your friends and share it on Reddit and share it on Facebook and share it on Twitter and share it in all the places, or just tell your buddies. Search Hoops Nerd and watch it. By the way, I got some cool things going on with the other channel. It's not happened because honestly, I just haven't gotten to it. But we'll still keep doing it. But anyways, guys, you guys are amazing. If you're new, like I said, like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about Jared Butler tonight and how well he did. Guys, I will talk to you next time.